Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. Again, this is Edison from ITC SheTrades Commonwealth. Today, we have the second part of our four-part webinar series delivered by Mercy from Botlab. And today's session will be on driving customer centricity for tech companies. Before I begin, I'd like to set some ground rules. Please mute yourselves and disable your videos in order to maximize quality for everyone, audio and visual. And before I pass on the presentation to Mercy, allow me to introduce her. So Mercy is the founder and CEO of Botlab, an award-winning firm that provides training in data science and cybersecurity. She's trained in general data protection regulation at the University of Groningen in the Netherlands, and is a certified IBM cloud professional, as well as a graduate of the Data Science for Business Leader program at the Data Incubator Chicago. She has over 9 years experience working in Kenya and the US, and she also manages Africa-wide projects. Mercy founded Botlab with the mission of highlighting the power of technology. Her goal is to increase the uptake of technology use in developing countries and to advocate for data science as a growth tool and cybersecurity as a risk mitigation tool. To date, Botlab has trained over 5,000 professionals globally. Mercy is a strong believer in giving back. She's the leading voice on the Women in Tech Kenya platform and has contributed immensely to the advancement of women in STEM. She leads the Nairobi chapter of Women in Data, which is the first chapter in Africa. Women in Data is a global organization headquartered in the US that supports women exploring careers in data science. So with that, thank you, Mercy, for being with us. I'm very excited for this second part of the four-part webinar series, and pass on the presentation to you. Have a great session, everyone.
Thank you so much, Edison, for introducing me. I'll just jump right into it. So probably I want to ask, and you can maybe post in the chat section, as an external review, have you ever referred someone to another business? And what verbs did you use to describe the experience? So think about even today, what business someone asked you about, and what did you say? I can give, maybe I can start as I wait for your responses. I know of a food joint where someone asked me if they can deliver food to their office, and since their office is close by, I referred to them and she asked why. I told them that the food was fresh, the food was packaged well, so it did not arrive looking like an octopus, meaning that in the packaging they really put in a lot of effort into the packaging so that in case you get your food, it's not mashed up. And the food was appetizing, it tasted good. So maybe I'd want to hear from you in the chat section. What business, what industry did you refer someone to? And what verbs did you use to describe? It can be just one sentence. Think about any business. It doesn't have to be an IT business, but if it's an IT business, it's even better. I can give another example of an IT business that I know. People refer to it because of the prompt customer support that they get. So if you raise a query, there's someone to attend to, no matter, and they don't discriminate whether you're a big entity or a small entity. So let me check the chat to see if anyone has posted. Anyone who wants to give it a try? Minnie says she referred a sports marketing firm and used a well-versed team. That's very, very intricate. What does that tell you about the culture of that organization? What does it tell you about the organization itself, in how they carry their services, or how they carry out whatever they do? Of course, there are those businesses that we know we will not advocate for. So if you remember a negative review, it will also be helpful just to indicate what industry they were and what verbs you actually used to describe the experience. Maybe you did not like the customer support, you called them, no one picked up, or you did not like whatever they sold to you was not what they actually delivered. So that could hurt the customer centrism of that particular firm. So as we wait, I just want to pose another question. Internally, for your business, how do your customers view your business? And what would you like them to say about your firm? So if you are writing the other, you can still post. This is an internal reflection of your business. Ask yourself, what do you, and be honest about how your business is, how your customers view your business, and what would you like them to say about you? I know sometimes people say they communicate through the value, they communicate through their vision, they communicate through their mission, but sometimes it's not what is actually on the ground. So you can experience, people get to know experience of how their customers view them from different entities that we're going to explore. So maybe we can see what someone has posted. Let me check the chat section. Minnie says, reliable and driven by passion. That's a very, very good thing. Why? Because passion drives trust in an organization. It drives reliability, means that you are dependable. So they can always call on you for you to be able to deliver. So I'll just go straight into it. So what is customer centrism? It's an approach to doing business that focuses on providing a positive customer experience, both at the point of sale and after the sale, in order to drive profit and gain competitive advantage. I can see Francisca has just written that a reliable company and that you deliver on time, which is very, very good to look internally and see what are those things that your customers say about you, and also see what are those things that you think they drive those values that you want them to talk about. And as you can see, customer centrism is not about the experience alone. It is also past the point of sale. So after, so if you provide a particular service, what are those things that you can do or provide value after the transaction? So what are the success factors that I want you to think about for your business? Customer focused leadership. It has to come from at the very top of the food chain. So if you are a business owner, for you to start thinking about customer centricity, it has to really come from the very top of that business. And it has to be a genuine interest so that it drives the organization culture of your organization. Another thing is empowering the front line. Empowering means different things. It means especially access to information. Sometimes at the very top, we make a lot of decisions and the decisions do not get to the client on time. And when they have an interaction with the frontline customers, whatever the customers are told, sometimes it's outdated information or they're not able, they do not know. So because they do not know, they can sometimes misrepresent the company itself. Then the other thing is designing the experience. For every product that your business currently offers, think about the experience end to end. From when you encounter a customer who could be a lead to when you close a business. And after you close a business, at what point do you stop supporting them? If a customer calls you and says that they bought an antivirus from your company and that they did not get, their servers right now are not updating, but they did not pay a maintenance fee to be able to get access to this. You need to figure out what are those things that you're able to provide, maybe thinking about what other opportunities that are there with this particular customer, and thinking also about customer satisfaction, not only for that transaction, but also other transactions. So think about designing the experience end to end for each product that you currently have. Some products, of course, they correlate. So if you are selling services to mass market, like antivirus services, so that could maybe go hand in hand with maybe cloud. If you are selling cloud services to also to the market, meaning you want them to host, you want to host their websites, you want to host their mail. So that means that since you are targeting the mass market and it's a service that you're providing, it can be easier to correlate and put them together. The experience for someone who is selling something like that and someone who is selling laptops and devices will probably be different. So you need to think about how that process looks like and communicate the same thing to your frontline staff. Because if they're not empowered, remember, they are the first people who are called by your customers. And depending on how big you are, sometimes if you are alone, you're the one being called by everyone. But as you grow, certain people start calling different people. If it's in finance, following up certain things. If it's in products, they want to find out certain things about what you currently have. You need to think about at every stage, thinking customer at the heart of every transaction, of every process, and also measuring metrics that matter to you and to your business, and that correlate with customers being at the center of your business. Remember, without the customer being at the center of your business means that sometimes you will lack sales, sometimes you will not have good relationships. And we all know when a customer is happy about your product, they will always talk about your product, always. Even think about the things that you buy. There's so many things you'll hear someone talk about, even a phone. People buy phones because of experience of other people. People buy laptops because of experience of other people. So if you think about tech is really trust-based. So if you do not put customers at the heart of your business, then it can bring a challenge, especially when it comes to growth of your business. Feel free to post any questions and clarifications in the chat section. So how do you become customer-centric? One of the methods is to anticipate customer needs. If you think about Apple and the journey of Apple being Apple where it is today, they have really anticipated people's needs. So they started different things. I remember when they started the iPod, it was mostly because users were we were listening to music from other channels, but we could not move around with a device. So if your business is about coming up with new products, you need to think about how do you come up with something for the next step. I'll give an example. 10 years ago, storage was such an issue. Storage was very expensive. If you recall, most phones did not have, I think even getting a 5 GB storage was such a big deal on a phone. Right now, phones are coming with even 100 GBs of storage, and they also have cloud storage. What does that mean? It means that they anticipated the needs of the customers from the very beginning. They could see a trajectory of where customers hit from their data, where they hit a cap. So you have taken so many pictures and then that's it. You can't store anymore. You have taken a lot of videos, you're not able to store. Or you lose your phone, meaning you are not able to get the pictures from the other phone that you had. So they came up with a cloud platform where you integrate with your phone. That's why Google tells you, can it save your pictures on Google Pictures? And also iPhone asks you if you want to integrate with iCloud, because they anticipate those needs. They see, and it's usually based on data. So you have to be very keen on your business, on how you want to collect this data. And when you collect it, what do you do with it? The other step is about collecting customer feedback. There are many ways to collect customer feedback. The conventional ways are usually surveys, but from recent past we've seen even yourself, ask yourself how many times someone has asked you to fill a survey and you actually did. Most people do not. They see a survey, they feel it's a lot of work, it's too long, and sometimes people are not honest when they're giving out their surveys. Some people decide to call. So you decide to call your customers and find out how's the experience, was there anything that you'd want changed, and what did they like about the whole experience. For some, if it's actually a service that you're providing, people sometimes use user testing or Hotjar. They provide a simple framework that you can be able to collect feedback, especially if it's an online service and you're targeting a global audience. So that will be able to give you the kind of feedback that you're looking for. And the other thing is being easily accessible. Think about this, about especially if you have, you're selling to volumes and you want to establish a call center. And a call center does not mean hundreds of employees. Sometimes it's 2-3 people who are supporting people with their onboarding process or any challenges that they encounter. And this could be sometimes the technical people who even implement. So when a customer calls you and tells you that their website is down, how easily are you accessible? And how easily is it for you to actually resolve the problem that they're currently having? If someone says that they have no access to Gmail, or they're now required, they have now more staff and they'd like to onboard new staff, how easy is it for you to interact with that customer and your turnaround time? Sometimes people say, yeah, let's do that. And then there are a lot of emails, but then the turnaround time takes too long because of accessibility. Or when they write emails, there's no one to respond to them. It also hurts the customer centrism of your organization. And then the other thing is being proactive in customer service at every specific step, not only to the front line, but also even you as a business. If you have 10 employees and someone calls you about something, that you can be able to refer them to someone who can be able to help them and have it closed. Sometimes customers get frustrated when they ask for a particular service and they have to be passed around from too many people. And you remember when we talked about the phases, we talked about the design. So if that design is not very clear about what you want to achieve, and everyone in the organization knowing at what point and who does what, it can really be a challenge to those people to your customers who want to have a particular service delivered to them, or they have a complaint about a particular service towards them. And being proactive means sometimes even envisioning some of their challenges. So if you know your customers are going to have these particular challenges, and sometimes you can be able to predict. You remember we said you're collecting feedback, so you can communicate. So if you see maybe you're having technical issues with your web hosting platform and you're hosting many other websites, then it becomes easy for you to actually communicate to your customers even before they start calling you, so that they already know that you are aware of the problem. And most of these things, I would say, just create. Google has a thing for canned responses. So you can, if you use Gmail Suite for your business, you can actually just incorporate canned responses. What that means is you envision the problems and the issues that customers have, and then you custom make the responses. That way there is uniformity in the way that you respond. So sometimes all they're changing is the name or the time or the scope, or you're just changing the update to make sure that they get the information that you want to relay. And this also helps, especially when you're communicating to your customers. That way they do not receive, grammar is relative. We all know the levels of education sometimes are different. So having canned responses, you can even have them on a Google document or on a website somewhere like a wiki. It helps with clarity and even empowering your customers in case they have encountered something new. At least they have an idea of how they will be able to respond and what are the standard procedures for your own business to respond. If it is a call, you can create certain scripts of how a customer should be addressed, how they should be asked questions, the tone of their voice, different things. And some of these things sometimes you can have, if you have the budgets, you can get like a voice coach to be able to train your people. If you do not have, there's so many resources out there that you can be able to provide that particular knowledge to your team so that you drive customer centrism, because remember, we are putting the customer at the heart of your business. Then look beyond the purchase. Look at the value that this customer is bringing to you. Remember how we talked about a phone? There are people who buy a specific phone brand for years on end. So if they are Samsung people, they've probably bought a Samsung all their life. Why? Because sometimes the person who sold that phone to them promised something better, and the phone brought the experience that they were looking for. So look beyond the purchase. Most people, after they've closed their transaction, they let go of the customer. Remember that that customer you have already acquired, you've already done 60% of the work. And then create an onboarding process. An onboarding process means from the time you get someone who's interested in your business all the way till the end of till end of the transaction. And after the transaction, what happens between the transaction and where you are right now? There are customers who will probably buy from you once a year. There are customers who will probably buy from you every month, depending on what you sell. And there are customers who will probably buy from you multiple things. So you cross-sell different things to one person. Someone who develops websites, you could find that a customer will buy SSL security certificates from you. You will host their website, you'll buy their domain, and then you'll develop and maintain that website. These are like 5 services that you're selling to one person. So what does that mean? You have to look beyond the service, beyond the purchase. That way, that there is a relationship that you're forming with this client, so that in case they ever start another business, that they will think about you as a first person. If they hear of someone else who is looking for a similar service, they will remember how you treated them from the word go till the end. Sometimes we discriminate as businesses based on the volumes that someone is buying. So you'll see if someone is a small business, they will not apply standard procedures as if it will be a big business. Sometimes it's a small business that decides to grow to become the big business. So whichever cluster you decide, you have an onboarding process for the different layers of businesses that you interact, so that the small business who's bringing you small business can also feel comfortable to interact with you. The big business can also feel comfortable to interact with you, because business is business. If you have any clarifications, you can still post on the chat. Then the other thing is growing your culture. Culture is extremely, extremely important in your own small business. This week is customer service week. So everyone will receive messages from the different businesses that you interact with about thank you for appreciating you because you are their customer. But sometimes we all know that has been sent by the marketing and the PR organizations or departments. But you as a customer, maybe you're frustrated. So when you see that message, it actually ignites spikes out of it. For some, you remember the occurrence that you probably had and the experience that, the lovely experience that you had, that you actually even remember to post and share your review to other people. So growing your culture means that helping your employees, no matter what level they are, to see an opportunity to serve your customers. So that in case someone in finance sees that a customer calls them and they're frustrated, they can be able to look them in with the right person and also even follow up to make sure that the query has been resolved, and also to own the opportunity. If you see something that is wrong within the organization, sometimes you will see, for example, someone's website is down. It means that either the communication was not relayed, and even when it was, the client did not see the need of updating it. So sometimes the client will call you to tell you that I've been told my website is down. and perhaps you're dealing at a very high level where you're dealing with the owner of the business. And when you're communicating, sometimes you do not communicate to the owner of the business because that is too high up. You want to, maybe if they have an IT department or an admin or finance, that you want to email them first. So sometimes you'll see that when you're handling that, no one wants to lay blame or no one wants to take up that complaint and address it. So it becomes a challenge for some of the businesses to be able to think through about the opportunity and then do something about it. Now that you have seen that there's a problem, what do you do about it? What do your employees do about it? I know so many businesses where they will see posts on social media and ignore them. They will see a customer complaining about a service that they got and they will do nothing about it because it's a culture that they currently have in the business. So that culture already tells you how they view their customers. And it can be very difficult to sustain repeat customers if you have a culture that does not promote customers feeling that their needs are being met. Because I mean, most of the customers have had a financial transaction that has gone between them and your company. So the three components in customer centrism is, first is customer development. I want you to think about the onboarding process that we talked about. Think about how you interact with your customers. Think about how you interact with your customers, where you source your customers. And as you think about development, also think about customer acquisition. How hard or how easy is it for you to actually get customers on board? If you are a B2B business, it means sometimes that your business cycle is actually very small. So you can probably maybe close 1 or 2 businesses in a month. There are some, for the ones who are B2C, business to consumers or customers, they have a large funnel. So their customer pool, for them to acquire, they probably need maybe 100 or 1,000 customers throughout that journey. And then customer retention. Retention is, if, for example, people are paying you every month, what is the churn rate? What is the churn rate in which that they drop out? We all know of services that we subscribe to, but every other month you're always unsubscribing. That should tell you if there's a problem with the product, or it's a problem with communication, or a problem with the customer experience. And acquiring a customer is always harder, and the cost of acquiring a customer is very expensive as compared to retaining a customer. We all have products, not only tech products, but also other products where we are loyal to them, not only because they provide good value, but because also the experience is good and we have nothing wrong or nothing bad against these businesses. So as you think about your business, I want you to think about how hard it is for your business to actually acquire a customer, and how hard as well it is to think about retention of the customer. And what are those things that you need to put in place in your business to ensure that if you get one customer, it becomes so hard for them to actually leave you, that when they think about leaving you, they think about how the switching cost becomes very expensive for them to actually leave your business. Why? Because of the value propositions that you're providing to them as a business. And when you retain your customers, it becomes very easy for you to cross-sell or upsell. So like I was saying, if you do a good job when you are hosting a website for someone, it becomes an easy sell to actually proposition to them and tell them that I think your website needs an SSL, so they'll buy from you. If they're renewing their domain, you can have an alert and let them know that their website is about to be shut down. They can renew with you. I mean, you already maintaining their site. The SSL is pegged on you. changing from another vendor to you does not cost them, so they feel comfortable to give the whole bundle to your business. If, for example, you are selling antivirus to businesses, and you want to maybe start a new line of business. So you want to start selling devices. So you can sell maybe phones, or you can sell laptops or other devices. It becomes very easy for the people who have bought antivirus from you to actually buy devices from you. Why? Because they already trust and they can see it's already working, and you already have an existing relationship. But if you treated them badly, if the whole experience from start to end was very frustrating, no matter what else you will sell, they will always look for other people, and sometimes they might even buy more expensive than you would provide to them. So think about your business, based on these components, ask yourself, what are those things that you can do to redesign the process, putting the customer at the heart of that business? So I want to take you offline a bit. I want us to check some something here. So this is Stripe. Stripe is it's a payments platform. So it integrates most global platforms with their businesses. So if you want to collect payments, a lot of global companies, especially in fast developed countries, use Stripe. As you can see, when you look at the reviews, there are a lot of complaints, lots and lots of complaints. So you can see here, he was talking about the worst company ever. They hold illegally your money for 4 months for no reason, and there is no way to contact customer service. The past 4 months review on Trustpilot are saying all the same things. This service is becoming a scam. Stay away and check reviews online if you do not trust me. If you wanted to use Stripe and you just had someone talk about it, like for example from this platform, and you go see their reviews, do you think you would actually buy from them? I think I would want to see your chats. Do you think you would buy? You would actually buy from them based on this? You can also just go through and see what people are saying. You can see the complaints that people are voicing, and also at the same time ask yourself, if you were a business owner, Stripe is your business, and you remember the way we said you collect data from, I can give an example. You can already see from this example here that there are so many things that are wrong on the operational side. So one of them is communication. They are not communicating or updating the customer. That's why you can see that he's saying for the last 4 months, the reviews online, he's also tried to communicate to them. He's tried to contact the customer service. They are not giving him the response that he's required, or even update to tell him about his frustration. If he was probably complaining about the money being held and no one is communicating to him, can you see the challenges that this person is going through? As a business, what are those processes that you will be able to align with? So there's communication here. There's also product. The product that he's probably attuned to, maybe it needs more redefining. Maybe the business needs to go back to the drawing board and ask themselves, how to, incorporating feedback like this, how do they make the experience better for the customer? So this one says here, okay guys, I don't know what else to do, just spam you to every single platform you're on. You're holding $1,000 without giving me any legit reason as to why you're doing that. You're also not letting to refund it to my client so he can pay me elsewhere. What is going on? Also, you do not respond to my emails. I've sent over 20 emails in the past month. 0 responses. What is going on? For someone like this is someone who's frustrated and they have already given you business. Yeah, and they're saying they're communicating to you, but you are not communicating to them. Internally, remember we said about internal review? I hope this is not your business, because if your business also where customers say that they write emails to you, they never get responded, it means that it will be so hard for you to retain your customers. And it also tells you about the processes that you currently have on board sometimes need to be revisited. Let me show you another company. So this is Amazon, and look at these reviews. I appreciate the Amazon delivery drivers and all support the chain of events that make this client so pleased to order from Amazon. How will this review make you feel? If this was your business, where someone writes, honestly, Amazon and staff, you are amazing. Thank you so much for all you do, not only for your customers, but for the environment. I don't know what I'll do without you during COVID-19. You're a lifesaver. How would this make you feel if customers gave you this kind of feedback and it's unsolicited? You did not ask them to give you this kind of feedback. How will this make you feel? I'm sure for most people, it will make them feel that whatever they're trying to sell to the business makes them feel validated. It also makes them feel that the onboarding process that they have created actually works. And if you do not get feedback, look for ways to incorporate or encourage your customers to give you feedback from different ways. So it could be email, it could be forums, it could be calls where you ask them at each and every process how they feel about the service that you're currently delivering or the product that you want to sell. So this, think about your business. You remember we said internal review, what would you like your customers to say? If this is what you want your customers to say about your business, think about the processes that you need to work on internally and to be able to achieve this kind of unsolicited opinions from your business. Give me a minute. And then the last one. This is also PayPal. A lot of businesses use PayPal, and they also have the same issues with with Stripe. So it's about communication. You can see they don't solve any dispute. So meaning that whatever they said here, PayPal seller protection, marketing and PR is pushing this narrative, but the operations of the business are not able to handle this. Meaning even your frontline customers are not able to work around this product that you're currently pushing. So if this is your business, think about what are those things, what are those processes that you need to resolve so that the process is so seamless that customers have no doubt or have no challenges throughout that process because of how you've incorporated their feedback at each and every stage. Remember, you have to redefine each and every process using client feedback. Whatever they tell you, you take it into consideration and refine the process. Sometimes it's you thinking ahead of the customer because sometimes, like we said, when you think about Apple products, sometimes the customer does not know what they want. So since you are the pioneer and you are the expert in that industry, think about how you'll be able to support these businesses to get better resolution time and retention for your customers, and also ensuring that they get value post the transaction. If this is your business, they have no comments. Generally, every time they post, there are no reviews. There are so many things that could trigger something like this. It could mean that you have other channels that the customer is able to use to drive customer satisfaction. So if it's a complaint, when they write to you on email, that you actually respond. Remember, most times when people complain on social media, it's because they've tried to call you, they've tried to email, and they didn't get a response. So if you are a business, think about how do you support your existing customers, because if they're frustrated, you will not get any business from them. And if they are happy, you are assured that they will refer you to other people and they will talk about you. So if your business is like this, where customers do not complain on the platform, think about what are those things that you need to do to make sure that if they're using other modes of communication, that their queries are sorted out. And if there are process reengineering that is required within your business, that you're able to go back in time and see this month, what process can we be able to redefine so that we incorporate some of the complaints that have been addressed by the customers. Let's go back to the presentation. I just want to give maybe a small story about Amazon. So when Amazon started 20 years ago, Jeff Bezos said that to him, customers are number one. And throughout their journey in the last 20 years, when they started focusing on customer needs and customer satisfaction, they started coming up with new products, they started coming up with new versions, they started coming up with innovations around customer centricity. So customer centricity, it's a way of life for businesses. It's not like the customer service week where we celebrate this week and then after next week, we are back to the drawing board, we are back to our old habits. So one of my favorite quotes from Jeff Bezos, he said, the most important single thing is to focus obsessively on the customer. Our goal is to be Earth's most customer-centric company. This is one of the most profitable businesses. So if you decide to focus on the needs of your customers, there's a very high chance that you'll still be very profitable. One of the statistics that are out there, it costs 5 times to acquire a customer than it is to retain a customer. So think about the cost of you recruiting a new customer. Think about the Facebook ads that you actually place online to be able to get customers. Think about the hassle of the proposal writing, the narratives that you have to keep, the calls, the following ups that you have to convert a new customer as compared to retaining an existing customer. So it's actually 5 times more. So being customer centric is actually more affordable than not recognizing and appreciating the needs of your customers. Another fun fact, the success rate of selling to an existing customer is 60% higher than to a new customer. A new customer with that whole onboarding process, which is time consuming and sometimes can be high level of stress, can be the success rate is 20%. And sometimes that 20%, you've probably, depending on your sales cycle, it has been such a long period of time that you're very frustrated by the close. But the success rate of your existing customers who you can decide to cross-sell to or upsell to, it's around 60%. So retaining your customers and making sure that you are in tune to their needs and satisfying whatever you sell or what you say you will do actually has a better success rate as compared to if you just acquired a new customer. It's actually harder to acquire a new customer. So what next for your business? We all know Richard Branson. And I like this quote because it's very, very heavy. It says, to achieve consistently terrific customer service, you must hire wonderful people who believe in your company goals. When we get till there, it tells about your employees. You remember how we said about the culture? So it starts from recruiting. Recruiting people who actually care more than the sales targets. And then who also believe in your company goals and what your company has been founded on. And also, as it continues, habitually do better than the norm and who will love their jobs, make sure that their ideas and opinions are heard and respected. So this also means about communication. So if your as an employer, how your customers and employee relate are solely based on the organization culture. So if you allow information up and down, then it becomes very easy for the employees to feel that their opinions are heard and they can be used to redefine the experience. So, for example, if you have a product development team, or if as a small business you have a team of salespeople, understanding what their challenges could be and sitting around with the technical team to understand when they're doing the implementation or onboarding, what are those challenges they currently feel they encounter, and seeing how do you marry them both so that the ones who are selling also sell with integrity, and the ones who are supporting support with integrity. Sometimes it's usually a clash. The sales guy says that you will go live maybe in 24 hours, but the technical team knows that it's not possible. It's going to be 72 hours minimum. But that is still not communicated to the sales team. And you see, you as a business owner, when you're called, you also have no idea what is going on in the circle, because sometimes you are not in each and every part of every transaction. So it tells you about the communication channels that businesses have if they're customer centric. I mean, even Jeff Bezos in his book, he says that he has a book, and he says in the book that when he started out firing around 5 years, customers would directly write to him directly. He has at the time maybe 1,000 employees, and if a customer wrote to him, he would take it up to make sure that that problem that has been brought to his attention has been solved. So that already even tells you about the culture. The moment people see you as a business owner taking up a customer problem and pushing it to the very end where it's communicated to the customer at every step and it has been resolved, it means that they also borrow from what they see you do. And the quote continues that it gives them the freedom to help and solve customer problems for your customers. Rather than providing rules and scripts, you should ask them to treat the customer as they themselves would like to be treated, which is surely the highest standard. So these are the things I would like you to track. First of all is product development. What does this mean? It means, what are your customers always asking you about? So for example, if we go back to our antivirus business, what are those things that customers are asking you about? Maybe as install, customers asking you about CCTV. And this question is coming a lot of times. That could be something that maybe you need to explore and see how do you incorporate this new element, of course, based on your business, the grounding, and how big your product lines you want them to be. You understand what are those products based on the customer's needs that you can be able to provide. Sometimes it's very informal, depending on your engagement. Sometimes it's very formal, where you collect the data from social media and see what are those challenges that they're encountering, and seeing what products can you be able to sell to them or cross-sell to them, to existing customers, to make sure that this problem that they're currently having, they can be able to get X. Sometimes what I've seen people do who sell antiviruses to big organizations is that sometimes they become a partner to maybe HP or Dell, so that when they're selling you the antivirus, since it has to be managed from somewhere, they also cross-sell and also sell you a server, because they go hand in hand. So product development and customer centrism is about thinking about your customers' needs and thinking through them ahead of time and seeing what are those things that you can cross-sell together. And then revenue bottom line. If you are not customer-centric today, or if it's very ad hoc, just put some processes into it, as we have just described, and see how you can be able to channel out ways of cross-selling and measure your revenue bottom line. I'm sure it's going to change as you fine-tune to get your grounding. Then the other thing is innovation. I have seen certain businesses, like I'll say about, I'll give maybe a story about Amazon. They started with selling books. They sold a lot of books online. And then they realized that people are moving digital. When they told the book manufacturers or publishers that they needed to sell books online, they all refused because they all thought about it being stolen or hard to track, and most people thought it was really impossible for them to actually do it. But it was because they actually realized, but if they kicked out the publisher, they kicked out all the distribution channels for the book to actually come on Amazon, and then they have a device where customers can use and buy the books from their own device, that they will increase their margin. And that's how the Kindle started. I think they had 3 Kindle starts before it actually picked up. I think it was Kindle version 3 that actually picked up. But it tells you about how to be in tune with your customers' needs and going back to your revenue bottom line. If you see this is the margin that you're currently getting and you hope maybe to get more margin, you can re-engineer the process in such a way that you eliminate certain people out of the chain, or you go back in time and see what processes can you kick out from that onboarding process to make it shorter, and then you have better margins. So the other thing is employee engagement. Remember, the first line of people who talk to your business are your employees. If your employees are not talking to your business, if your employees are not talking well to your customers, then it can create a lot of challenges. Think about how when you call customer service, everyone has a phone. If you call your telecom provider and it takes 10 minutes for the phone to be picked, what does that tell you? If you find them, but they're not in the mood to talk to you, there's a very high probability the next time you'll see an advert, or the next time you'll say you've had enough, you will switch. So treating your customers well and having them ingrained in the customer experience centricity really helps, because they're usually the front people who interact with your customers. Sometimes people say that when their sugar is low, meaning that when they're hungry, then they do not interact with customers well. So it's also ensuring that throughout that they understand that revenue and employment go hand in hand, and employment and customers go hand in hand, because without customers, there's no revenue, and without revenue, there's no employment. So treating them at the heart of every transaction, treating them at the heart of every engagement really has better value as compared to not doing it. Then the other thing is process management. As I probably indicated when I was talking about innovation, think about the process that you currently have in your business, and they don't have to be formally documented. Sometimes it's you thinking about how do you engage your customers? How do you narrow down that scope? What partners can you bring on board so that they remove certain steps out of your onboarding process? And you could actually innovate on a process so that you make it shorter, and it also gives you a competitive advantage. So going back, I'll begin to see in the comments, what are those things that in your business you would want to go back and maybe track and see how do you improve the customer centricity in your business. As you type, I can maybe give a short case study of Netflix. So when Netflix started, they were trying, at the time, it's also a 20-year-old business. So they at the time, in the US, they had shops in different small towns where you would buy tapes with movies. And the biggest challenge was that if there was a new movie, the shop probably has 2 or 3 copies. And probably people who want to watch it on a Friday night are probably 100 or 200 or 1,000. So when Netflix started, they thought about solving that problem by ordering, and then they ship it to you. So instead of you going to the Blockbuster shop, you actually order what you want to watch this week, the tapes themselves. Then they pack them and they send to you. One of the key things that was very, very important at the very beginning, and which defined who Netflix is till to date, is that they were also very customer-centric from the very beginning. They started monitoring what are those things that they actually sell what genres of movie actually move, what distributors actually work with them well, what partners do they need to be on board. So they started onboarding. Panasonic, I think also on Sony, where if you bought a DVD player or if you bought a VCR player, it would come with a voucher for Netflix that you could redeem on their site and actually get some VCR movies sent to your address. Once you register and you like the service, so what happens? You start buying from them, and it's one of the reasons why they grew so much during that time, because they identified that at the core, if you went to their site, they said when they launched, the site went down, I think over 100 times the first day they launched, because they had not envisioned they would get so many people, I think in 1999 or 2000, or people wanting to actually buy from them. But it's because they went to all the forums, they had a lot of crawlers everywhere talking about it and the launch date, and they knew their audience very well. So they started with the people who were already online. I mean, they would be the easiest people to actually buy from you. So when they started, they say that even marketing was heavily data-centric, wanting to know what movies people buy, what genres people buy, where they located, how long will it take, how much is shipping towards that, and what can they do. So they started even having different centers out of their warehouse to have more storage and reduce the logistics of having the movie to you, so that if you want it on a Friday and you order in the morning, you're able to get it by end of day. And then as that succeeded and it went very well, they actually made money. It got to a point where they saw more and more people moving to the digital aspect. So they started working with the distributors. Remember, they are just an aggregator. They do not own any of the movies. They started producing the movies, but at the very beginning, they did not own. So they started talking to the filmmakers, the production companies, the distributors, to see if they would upload some of their movies on their infrastructure. And because till to date, they still follow the same thing. They're heavy on data. They understand what geographic areas like whatever movies. And even when they come up with their own documentaries and their own film production, it's heavily geared on the data foundations that they currently started when they started, because they wanted to be so in tune with customer needs that if they ever had anything out there, they would predict the number of people who would actually on board. So like I said, going back, being a customer-centric company is not a fluke. It has to really come from the very top of the business, meaning you as a business owner, and understand what value do you want your customers to be at, and what value you want to provide to them, and how that journey looks for them and for your business. And your customers understanding why that is important, no matter how many times a customer, like for example, if you order online, I saw someone talk about Jumia Eats, and they were complaining on Twitter from Lagos, and they were saying that they ordered a meal and 8 hours later, it had not been delivered to them. And that already tells you this is a customer who went online to vent, and they did not even tag Jumia Eats, but it tells you that this is a customer who will never order again. And it also tells you, since he or she posted, there's so many people who saw that tweet and they will never order from the same organization. But we also see nice positive reviews of different companies online, that where someone is able to buy something and they give a review, and most people want to experience, because good service sometimes is rare. So you want to make sure that your business is also in line with that. When people talk about your business, they think about the values that you want to advocate for, and your customers and your employees know what you stand for. Not only as the things that people put on notice boards or at the reception, your mission and mission, but to also mean that internally your business is geared towards that direction. As I conclude, I like this quote. Jeff Bezos says, "We innovate by starting with the customer and working backwards. That becomes a touchstone for how we invent. So think about your customer, even in the processes, onboarding process, think about product development, think about customer service, and going backward. And we said we can get this customer feedback from so many places, from calling them, from going to your social media feeds, to also if you have a small call center and you have a help desk, that is also a good point to start to see what are those things your customers are saying about and how do you redefine that experience for your business. So thank you. I hope to see some comments and questions in the chat.
Thank you so much, Mercy. Very, very relevant. I think especially pertinent to the technology industry, where customer experience is everything. Yes, Miss Mercy, would you be providing the slides?
Yes, I can share to you, then you can circulate.
Sure, perfect. I would invite questions, but at the same time, I will conduct a poll. So I really appreciate it if all of you respond to this poll. You will see it pop up as a window on your screen now. And we'll open for questions. Please keep them coming. The more you ask, the more we learn together. If you have experienced something in your company, or you'd like to ask for advice or strategies, please keep your questions coming.
Edison, maybe I can add.
Sure.
As I wait for the questions, maybe if you are targeting a global audience, also think about the language barrier and cultural sensitivity that comes with handling customers from different areas of the world. So if you are providing a service online, think about how do you ensure that your business communicates, because language is very important. So how your business communicates maybe in Europe can be very difficult or different in how you actually communicate here in Kenya or in Nigeria because of cultural perspectives. So look for and you can find out who your customers are or who comes to your site. If you followed our last session, you will be able to integrate some of the analytical tools or some of the tools that we talked about in the session that will be able to help you think through who is your audience and who is coming to your site and what are they doing on your site? What are they coming to see on your website? That will really, really help. Even when they're buying, at what point are they stopping, and could it be a customer experience problem? Yeah.
Thank you. I also like to add that, even personally for me, when I look for services to purchase or to download an app, we always go back to the review section. If it's a completely new software or app, that's where you look at reviews to actually help you decide, and that all plays into the calculus. So I think what you covered today is very important, especially for the women in our sector. I would invite questions. I'm sure you have them if everyone starts contextualizing and thinking, maybe you face some issues before your company. All praises and compliments for Mercy. Okay, oh, that's Mercy's question. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. If you have any issues that you face, being customer-centric, maybe your product or your services, is a bit peculiar, a bit special, that it might not, maybe what Mercy has discussed, you are trying to just draw the link between that and your company, your products. Okay, we see compliments coming in. Okay, we'll wait a bit more because we also have to wait for the poll to end. So keep your questions coming. We have from Ishrat. Is it necessary to communicate with the customer for the employer only? Okay. Do you mean, Ishrat, if the employer should be the only one communicating with the customer, or Mercy, do you understand it differently?
Maybe the way I'm understanding. Can you hear me?
That, yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, so maybe what I can say is, maybe the way I'm understanding is to communicate to the customer for the employer only could mean that you only want to communicate to the customer because of the employer, if that's what I'm getting. Maybe to answer that as I wait for your clarification is, sometimes you communicate to remove any doubts that, sometimes I'll give an example. I used to work in an organization where sometimes the systems would go down and we would have different units that we support not knowing what happened. So they will be frustrated. They have maybe queues they are attending to, and they're not sure what to do. So everyone would call us. And sometimes, depending on how big your organization is, you do not have the bandwidth to take up the calls and also sort out the problem because you're a small business. So what ended up happening is we would give out updates on email and pop-ups and messages as they went on. That really helped because even when they are attending to a customer, they would give accurate information on what is on the ground. So to communicate also means that everyone who is in your ecosystem is on the same page as you, and you remove any doubts of them not thinking that you are prioritizing their problem, especially if it's something that needs a lot of escalation. Sometimes when you call customer care and they can't resolve it, it really has to escalate and it dies off within the channel. It is very important that you think about how do you track this, and at every point someone it goes to someone's account and an alert that it actually also communicates to the customer so that they don't think that their problem was not sorted out and no one is looking into it, because you could be in the background, but the customer thinks that you guys moved on and you're not talking to them.
Thank you, Mercy. We have another question. Yes, they're coming in, so very happy to see that. But at the same time, there are 10 of you, around 10 of you have yet to respond. So please respond to the poll. The next question is, when your business is small and you don't have enough skilled staff to handle customer issues, especially the use of social media, how do you advise Regina to move forward with this?
My suggestion would be, if your business is small, is to create like what I told you about the canned responses. If you use Facebook, Facebook has a frequently asked question section that you can also utilize, because before a customer contacts you, they have Googled that question. So make sure that they have that information. And if you are a small team, you want to reduce even the time to compose. When you're under pressure, even words just become, they just go. So when you're trying to type in, you're not able to because you are still under pressure. So having the canned responses really helps because you can already predetermine the kind of challenges that you encounter as a business. And if you can be able to predetermine the problems, it becomes very easy for you to have the canned responses so that you can even automate them. There are certain tools that you can use that can automate so that response time, instead of you crafting an email every time, and that could take you 10 minutes, once you actually read it, you can be able to just respond. You just copy paste and send, copy paste and send, copy paste and send. That reduces the time period. The other thing is to allocate time on when you want to be responding to customer issues, especially online. The third part about that is that, like Facebook, it actually ranks you. So if you respond in less than an hour, depending on the query, then it gives you a higher rating. If you take too long to respond, they give you a lower rating. But the other thing is to identify what are those key priority messages that if you see right now, you can respond right now. And then there are some that can take maybe 4 or 5 hours before you respond. It's just having a clear chat, and it can be informal. It doesn't have to be formally documented, where you know this, I can respond now. But also if it's a sale, if you don't provide that information there and then, there's a very high chance that you will not convert that customer.
I have a follow-up question before I move on to the next question. But I also continue to bug everyone to reply to the poll. It'll be helpful to Mercy and also our project. How do you propose, like, I know chatbot is one of the ways that you could, as you have mentioned, automation. For a small company or a large one, would it be a good way to fend off basic questions? And is it, in terms of resources, a good way forward?
Sometimes there are chatbots that you can use depending on your business. Some of them are integrated with the platforms that you decide to use for social media. Some of them are not. So that's why even the chatbots require canned responses. So for them to know that question, and it can actually be a problem if you come from a country where people don't speak one language. So if you come from Kenya, that will be a really, really big problem, because when people write on social media, they use a mixture. So they'll use English, they use Kiswahili, and they will not type the words with the correct spelling. So some of them have been shortened. So because of that, it can be very challenging for especially chatbot tools, because most of them are not in tune with the rapid increase of how our languages change, especially when it comes to text. Someone will write, they will write good night in full. Someone will write GD as good night or good day. And very few people will understand that. Machines will even not know what that is. So they will look through their algorithms and not know what that word means. So it could bring a lot of challenges, and also have a PR crisis, because maybe they asked about X, but the chatbot responded to Z. So unless also you know your demographic or your audience very well, then that would actually work. At the same time, automation does not have to be automated throughout. Like I said, you could just have canned responses where you have them on your notes, or you have them on a Google Sheet. And when people ask about certain things, you just copy paste and send, copy paste and send, copy paste and send. Yeah.
Thank you. I find that the combining you know, a range of strategies, like having an FAQ, which I find is the most. I mean, every company has a list of, even for trade fairs, you know, there's always a standard set of questions that people ask, and you want to fend off these questions and not waste your time actually explaining this. And I think copy paste is a great way. I know personally, and of course I know there are questions coming up, that you know, it might take a larger company for tech team to be able to program the chatbot to understand, like, okay, this is Swahili, this is English, and there are short forms of certain words, and so that may be a bit more labor intensive and might not be suitable for small companies. I will move on to the next question from Josephine. How do we balance the concept that our people, in other words, our employees, are our greatest asset? That is internal customer centricity. I don't really fully understand the question. How do we manage this concept? Josephine, would you like to unmute yourself and pose that question instead?
Hello, thank you so much. I was just wondering about us focusing on the customer, but if our employee is unhappy, if our employee is not feeling valued, then how will they even be able to give any value to the customer? I was thinking maybe focusing on the employee first, giving them the dignity of work, then therefore they can be happy, take ownership of the company, and be able to present to the customers that come by this customer focus that we are talking about. That was my question. How do you balance those two?
It's actually a fine balance, and it's a balance that is a seesaw, because very few companies have mastered a perfect seesaw. So I would say, of course, employees come first. Dissatisfied employees are your bullets. They will shoot down every customer who comes through your door. And also dissatisfied customers, no matter how satisfied your employees are, they will literally will not be there for your business because of how they are treated. So I think it's a fine balance of understanding what value as a leadership, what value your customers bring, and what values your employees bring, and having both sides understand one another. So your customers understand, because sometimes you could have rowdy customers who do not understand, who do not even treat your employees with respect. And you could have employees who do not respect your customers at all. So it's a very fine balance of understanding at what point and what incentives you can put on both sides of the seesaw. So I'll give an example. If you are, for example, if you are a business that sells B2B, meaning your customers are it's a niche, because B2B businesses are not usually do not focus so much on volumes. It's a niche. Think about it this way: how you treat your employees, how the employees feel about your company, and the values of your company. There are employees that I see who are not paid very well, but they advocate for their companies wholeheartedly. There are people who are paid very well. And it also goes back to recruiting people with the right attitude. Because if your passion and the one for the employer are in line, it really grows. It also means using standard procedures, paying them well. If you can afford it, have that traction, have that career trajectory for them. Because most people feel tightened by the throat, especially if there's no career growth, or if they feel that they are not being paid well, or if they're not being treated well. So that in case a customer raises a complaint, there is no blame shaming, yeah? Because I keep saying that a lot, especially on PR crisis. You'll see someone say that they experienced X, and the next thing you'll see someone was fired, and that would actually hurt even the culture of the organization, because the employees who've been left behind, when they see that, they will start giving a lot of space to the customers, because they do not want to be shamed for a mistake they probably did, or a customer mistake that has been blamed on them. So it could be many things of trying to balance about your business, but it's also about standard practices, making sure that you treat your employees well, and them seeing the value proposition of what you're trying to sell in your company, at the same time treating your customers with respect. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mercy. Yes, you will all be getting the slides in the recording. And as just a note, I would recommend that everyone download the recording as soon as you can, because we do have a limit to the amount of stuff we can save in the Zoom cloud, and they get deleted. They're going to get deleted. So once you receive the email with the link to watch the recorded webinar, please download it as soon as you can before it gets lost. Of course, we will try to store it on our end, but just to mitigate against losing the video. Do we have any more questions? We still have about 6 more minutes for question and answer. So if you have any other questions, please keep them coming, especially if you do not, maybe if you're from Bangladesh or from West Africa, it'd be interesting to hear how it'll be a different experience from your end. So this is Mercy's question to all of you. What stood out for you in the presentation? Other than her being a fantastic presenter, of course, what stood out? Okay, I'm going to nudge everyone to try to give a response. Would be much appreciated. Okay, just 10 more seconds. We still have a couple of more people who have yet to answer the poll. It would be great if you could help us. The feedback will definitely help Mercy also to tailor her next two sessions for everyone. And speaking about the next two sessions, maybe Mercy, would you like to maybe give a prelude to what you'll be discussing the next webinar?
Yep. So next webinar on Monday, we'll be talking about sales and how to generate or increase sales for your business as a tech business, and following the different paths of the different businesses that we all have. So how does that look like? How do you generate sales? How does that onboarding process look like? How does your sales strategy look like, especially for a small business that is limited by budgets, that is limited by time, limited by resources? And how do you make sure that you actually close those businesses or those propositions that you actually are looking out for? So that will be the session next week. Monday, same time. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So Patricia has said that putting your customer at the center of your business. Exactly. Well, glad to hear that. Any other questions or comments or compliments directed at Mercy? Please keep them coming. Everyone needs that. Okay. Last 10 seconds before I close the poll. Thank you everyone for responding. Yeah, they're very clear and simple delivery, definitely. Asante from Francisca, and easy to apply, yeah. Okay, so I will close the poll, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Mercy. It's a great pleasure to have you today with us, and really hope that everyone starts to apply what they've learned today to their businesses, regardless of how big or small your business is. I think this topic is applicable across the board, across the 4 countries that we work with. And next session will be very interesting. I think everyone wants to do sales and have leads. So please mark down, the same time, same day, Monday, and join us with lots of energy, lots of questions. Bombard Mercy as you like. We will manage accordingly. And have a great week. It's Monday. We have a fantastic week today. And stay safe, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody say thank you.